Okay, guys, welcome back to the third episode of the podcast. Can't believe we made it here. I think it's episode 3. Anyway, I didn't upload last week because I was at a show showing my horse. And I was very far away from my house, and I did technically have my whole setup with me, but I was basically at the show every single day, so it was not possible for me to film. So anyway, welcome back to the third episode. I'm filming this on the Wednesday. Hopefully I'm going to be posting it on Wednesday as well, because I think that's the timing I decided on. I'm not too sure. Podcast is still unnamed. I haven't thought of anything yet. I low-key am just not... I'm so tired. I've been doing so much. So trying to name a podcast right now is not going to happen, which is fine. It's just going to be the podcast on my channel. Anyway, I have a few videos in the works currently. Obviously, I haven't posted like an actual video in a while, but you know, a lot of stuff going on. I was trying to figure some stuff out. Hopefully, I'm going to get a video out soon. I have 2 videos that are like filmed. I just need to edit them. And then I have kind of a video planned that's more of just like a sit down and talk video. You know, we'll see. This channel is kind of still figuring out what it's about. And I'm still kind of working on what I want to be doing. All that stuff. Also, I've kind of started my art business a little bit, kind of here and there. So that is also something that's been taking up a lot of time, is trying to deal with that and do YouTube on the side and have an actual job and be going to college and ride horses. So there's a lot going on. Anyway, that's a lot of rambling for the beginning. I'm obviously filming during a different time of the day. That is hopefully so I can get this out on the same day, because these don't take a whole lot of time to edit. So I'm hoping if I can kind of film this midday, early afternoon, I can get it out by tonight. If not, you just get a daytime podcast for now. I just realized I also have to do the thumbnail. But yeah. Anyway, so what I had planned to talk about for this podcast, I'm going to try to jump into it a little quicker than I normally do. Just because I don't have a ton to ramble on today, which is unusual for me. So what I have to talk about with this podcast is I went to a Savannah Bananas game. I ran my first half marathon, and I wanted to kind of touch back on deleting social media and the reason that I don't post on TikTok, pertaining specifically to this channel, not to like my art business or like personal reasons. Anyway, let me make a note on this one. Not pertaining to art or personal reasons. Reasons. I can't type, apparently. Let's hope the voice recording stays on this time. My fan is going in the background. This might be a noisy podcast. I'm unsure. Make sure my camera's still recording. Anyway, let us start with the Savannah Bananas. It was so much fun. I didn't realize how big this game was. I didn't realize, like, how many people were aware of the Savannah Bananas, because I'd kind of heard of them off and on. I watched the Harlem Globetrotters when I was little. I really enjoyed that. So this was just kind of something fun where I was like, oh, like, this is very similar to the Harlem Globetrotters. I'll probably like it. Also, sorry, my nails are super messed up. I'm not sorry, it's really, like, they're really weak, so it's actually really painful, which is why I'm very hyper aware of it. Anyway, went to the Savannah Bananas game. My friend actually invited me, which was very nice of her. She out of nowhere was like, do you want to come to the Savannah Bananas game with me? And I was like, duh. Like, of course I do. Like, I've seen them on TikTok. They're funny. I thought it would be something I'd like. So I said yes. We went down. I went to the one in Eugene in Autzen Stadium. So cool, by the way. I've never been to a stadium that big. I go to, obviously, a very small college. Lewis and Clark is about 2,000 people, I want to say, in the undergrad program. So never been in a stadium that big. and I'm pretty sure we ended up setting the stadium record for the longest wave. Now, it may have already been broken by now because I'm sure somebody got their panties in a twist over that, but that was pretty cool. Anyway, Savannah Bananas. That was so much fun. Oh my god. I was doing so much stuff at the time, so I didn't really have a moment to, like, kind of sit and think about it. And now that I'm talking about it on the podcast, I can kind of just be like, wow, like, how cool was that? And, you know, it's so cool, like, these people were actually, like, Major League Baseball players. Like, I don't know very much about baseball, so if I get anything wrong, I do apologize. But they're all really cool people. Apparently, KJ has, like, a theater minor or something. They all seem, you know, they're all really funny. My friend actually got to meet a few of them in person, but that was the day before I got there. So I got there the Saturday to see them. So I got to see them actually play in their Oregon Ducks getup, or it was like the green and yellow instead of their regular one. So I'm getting texts, and I really actually would rather not be getting texts. So that was fun. It really wasn't what I was expecting. So I came into it thinking it was going to be kind of like the Harlem Globetrotters a little bit, which is, you know, they do a lot of tricks. They kind of jump around, but they're on obviously in a much smaller scale on a basketball court, whereas these guys are on a football. I don't know what that's called, but on the football thing in the stadium. So it's much bigger scale. So it's a bit harder for them to do those kind of tricks where, like, you would flip onto the basketball thing or the basketball thing. The net. Hello? I don't know. I'm not a sport. Like, horse riding is my one and only sport. And I did dance for a little bit, but I do not understand ball sports. So I'm sorry. Anyway, it was very different from the Harlem Globetrotters, which is not what I was expecting. I highly recommend you go watch them if you're able to get tickets, if they're in your area. It was really, really cool, and it was a lot of fun. I think the whole Making Baseball Fun Again thing was so cool, and I think that's such a fun idea. And I think more sports should be doing this. I think it's great. It brings a lot of normal people, or not like super diehard sports fans, into these kind of spaces. And I think that's a great thing, is to include more people and, you know, have more people enjoy one thing. So I thought that was really cool. Highly recommend that you go check them out, even if you just go look at the TikTok and see if it might be something you're interested in, or going to see them. They've obviously gained a lot of popularity, so I'm sure it's very difficult to get tickets now, which is why I'm so grateful I was able to go. But yeah, it differed from the Harlem Globetrotters because there's a lot more dancing. I watched the Harlem Globetrotters like 6 years ago, so we'll see how much I remember. But there was like a lot more dancing, and there was like a lot more grand scale kind of stuff, and there was a lot more focus on being in front of the camera so people could see you kind of on the big screen, which I thought was fine. That wasn't really bothering me because there's always like 10 things going on at once, which is also what I thought was cool about it, is they weren't ever just focused on like, this one person is doing this. Like, they had a game going on, people would be dancing, people would be running around. The mascots were really funny. I don't remember either of their names. I called the monkey Shardy, and I think his name is Farty, because I got to see them play the party animals. So that was that. But I kept calling him Shardy, and that was definitely not his name. He was not called Shardy. Don't know where I got that from. But it was a really fun atmosphere. Everybody was super nice that we were sitting around. Everybody was super sweet. It just felt like a really good atmosphere. It was a lot of fun, you know. I think it was, obviously, I'm not super into watching those types of sports, so it was really fun for me to, like, kind of get to experience that sport while also kind of getting a fun aspect of it. And, you know, I think it was just, like, I don't know, it was just, like, really fun, and it was something that I just kind of, sorry, there's a car going by. there's not a lot of times where I just get to kind of sit and enjoy something to enjoy it, and I felt that this is one of those things where you really could do that. Like, you know, you weren't thinking about something else, you weren't like, oh, like, you know, who's gonna win, blah, 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 or like, you know, what do I have to do next, or like, in a world where I'm, you know, doing so much work all the time, I'm doing college work, I'm doing, you know, freelance stuff, I'm doing my own thing all the time, and I have to work for myself and kind of manage all those parts, I don't get the time to just kind of sit there and appreciate just, like, enjoying something. So it was really fun because of that reason, to just kind of get to sit there and watch and, you know, have a good time with my friend and her family. And it was just a really cool experience. And if you can go see anything like that, I'd highly recommend it, because it was just kind of fun to have fun, and I think that's what was so cool about it. And, like, just, it made it so much fun. And also, their Dairy Queen shake was so good. Oh my god, if I could have 10 of those a day, I would. Holy crap. I know it was a brand deal, and I know it didn't have any sort of meaning. Oh my god, that shake was so good. It was so tasty. But anyway, I didn't really have, like, something planned that I wanted to say for that. I just kind of wanted to say, like, have fun to have fun. Like, I just really wanted to talk about how much fun I had and kind of how cool it was to experience that. So there wasn't actually much substance or information to that, but I think it's important to talk about the things that we have fun with. So sorry if I quickly ran through all of that. I was really excited to talk about it. Anyway, the next topic is I ran my first half marathon recently, which was, I ran it on July 4th, so that was actually really cool. I don't really celebrate July 4th, like I barbecue, like I have a hot dog, I eat cookies, I use it as an excuse to eat cookies, and yummy food. We just use it as kind of an excuse to barbecue. Great if you do, you know, go all out for it. You know, for me, celebrating July 4th, I guess, includes a half marathon now. But that was really cool. It was really fun. It was really fun, kind of, the vibes that were going on during the race, especially because it was July 4th. Everybody was just kind of pumped up because it was a holiday. So that was really cool. Some people had really fun outfits on. There was this guy that was wearing nothing but, like no shirt, but just, like, America flags, like, it was crazy, and, like, a skirt. He was very cool. Loved him. Anyway, I just want to talk a little bit kind of about my experience training, what I'd recommend for first-time runners. In my experience, like, in one word, amazing. I think if you have any interest in signing up for a race, I think you should do it. I think I talked in the first episode of my podcast about, like, you know, having kind of that goal, and I think that was really helpful, and kind of fulfilling that goal made me realize how much I really do love running and how cool I thought it was. Because, I mean, you come across that finish line, I mean, I was crying, my dad was crying, it was really funny, but it was also just, like, really, really nice. Like, all those people that didn't know me were cheering for me, and, like, I remember running by these people coming to the finish line, and I was, like, so focused on just getting to the finish line, and they started clapping for me, and I started smiling, and they were like, there we go, that's what we want to see, like, yeah, like, you're so close, like, great job, you're doing so good, we love to see you smile, and I was just like, I know you don't know me, but, like, thank you. Like, I'm gonna start crying thinking about it. But, I mean, it was such a cool experience, like, highly, highly recommend. So that's kind of what my experience was. It was really hard, but it was also really rewarding, because once you get to that end point, you're like, wow, I ran 13.1 miles. That's hard. Like, it's far. You know, I didn't run particularly fast. I think I ran 2 hours, 45 minutes, so about 12 minutes and 40 seconds, I believe, per mile. But I mean, it was still difficult, and I still felt a great sense of accomplishment when I did finish. Training. So I actually have a video coming out about training for this half marathon, because it was practically no training at all. I'm very fit, just kind of in general. Like, I do horse riding, I weightlift, I walk a lot, I hike, and I did run a little bit before this, So don't do what I did, because if you're not constantly moving your body, like I'm moving my body every single day, getting some sort of exercise, you cannot do this without you cannot do this with zero training. Even I wasn't doing great with zero training, so please train. That's what I will say with that. And kind of what I would recommend, obviously this was my first race, but that means I'm kind of way more aware of like what I needed throughout the race, and kind of, you know, can tell you a little bit of maybe what you might need yourself. So for one, proper training. Make sure that you feel ready, that you have done a long distance run, and feel good about it and don't feel like you're going to keel over at the end. Make sure, you know, you have enough training to know how to pace yourself, and kind of know what your body needs during the run. And that's kind of going into like what your body needs. That's kind of my biggest recommendations for first time runners, of like kind of what you are going to need. So I use the goo packets as electrolytes, and I think I had 2 on me, and I should have had way more. Luckily, they had aid stations like every 2 or 3 miles, it felt like, maybe 4 or 5 at my race, so I was not low on electrolytes or goo, but you don't, or water even, you don't realize how much you need until you like start actively feeling your body like losing it, and losing those electrolytes. So highly recommend getting those goo packets, or getting the little like the blocks. Those are really helpful. Anything that's easy to get down, swallow quickly kind of situation. I tried to eat a stroopwafel while I was running. That did not go very well. But more electrolytes than you think. Your body, especially if you're not used to running, you're going to be losing. Your body's, you know, expending more energy than it needs to be kind of at the beginning. It's not used to conserving energy, electrolytes, water, all of that sort of stuff. So you will end up being more, you know, thirsty, fatigued, tired than an established runner. More water than you think. I ran with a running vest, which you'll see in the video. It's very, very helpful. I highly recommend a running vest. But I had 2 bladders, or 2 water bottles on either side. I think they're both 16 ounces. And I had space for a large one in the back, which I didn't decide to use. And I should have, because I was out of water by, I think, mile 9 or 10. And I was so thirsty the whole time. And I'd been rationing my water throughout that. I am a big sweater, so that was also part of the reason. But I just kind of recommend, like, pack more water than you think you're gonna need. Even if there are aid stations, you never know, like, sometimes something just gets stuck in your throat, and then you're trying to run, and your throat is now suddenly dry, and it just kind of sucks. Speaking from experience. So I recommend that, for sure. Stop at the aid stations. I skipped a few, and I really regretted it. And you don't have to necessarily stop and, like, stand there and grab some water, blah, blah, blah. You don't have to talk to people. But they're holding the water out, they're holding the electrolytes, they're holding the goo, and so it's, like, on a table. It's easy to, like, jump in, grab something, jump out. If you're running a marathon to, like, get to the Boston Marathon, you're not watching this video to know this stuff. So this is for people that are newly running. You're not probably trying to qualify for anything, so you have the second to go over and grab something and make sure you are properly hydrated. I recommend doing that. Don't skip the aid stations like I did. They are there for a reason. They're there to help you. You know, if you're only carrying water, go grab the electrolyte water that they're offering. Anything like that, I think, is so helpful. And I already said this, but I'd written it down. Training does matter. You know, your body needs to learn how to run long distances. And if your body doesn't know how, it doesn't know how to pace itself. It doesn't know how to conserve energy properly. So it's not just about, like, training to go fast. It's about training so that your body is prepared and kind of knows what you're doing. And then I'm gonna be right back. Already, I'm back. Anyway, training does matter. Your body does need to kind of get used to, like, running and stuff. Surprise, surprise. Anyway, and then my last thing for this segment was, don't let anyone make you feel bad. That's actually what my mom started off saying to me when we started the run. She was like, don't let anyone make you feel bad. Don't, if people are passing you, it doesn't matter. Everybody's at their own pace. Blah, blah, blah. Nobody's blatantly out there saying, you're slow, like, you can't run, like, why are you walking? Why, I've passed you, like, blah, 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 blah. And don't feel bad when the marathon runners start lapping you, because that's absolutely what happened to me. Especially if it's your first run. You're not gonna be very quick. If you are, that's great, but really you're not gonna be. So, yeah, don't let anyone, I think it's easy to internalize, like, oh, this person passed me, or, oh, I was with these people and now they're way ahead of me, or, oh, the marathoners are lapping me, or, oh, these people are running way faster than I am, all of that sort of stuff. I think it's really easy to kind of get in your own head about it, but, this race is ultimately for you. Like, this race is not so, This race is not for you to, like, beat everybody, especially if it's your first one. And most of these races, like, that I'm doing, like, the local ones, they're not for you to, like, beat people. You get the same award no matter what place you're in. And so I think it's important to kind of remember, like, you're doing this for you, you're doing it for your body, for your health, for your mental health. I did it for my mental health. I didn't need the extra fitness, I guess I should say. It's always good. It's always helpful to, do things that make you healthier. But I really did this for my mental health. I was struggling quite a bit. And not to get too into it, obviously, but this is just kind of maybe helpful for some of you. I was struggling a little bit just because of some big life events that happened in winter of 25, that I'm sure a lot of people that are watching know about, because it's mostly my family and friends. But obviously doing much better, not letting such things impact me. However, I was really struggling with that, and I think it really took a toll on, like, how I felt about myself and how, I kind of felt about the world around me. It really changed a lot of my worldviews and kind of my personal values. But I was also just kind of stuck a little bit, and it was kind of hard to get out of that, and I felt running was a really good time for me to just kind of, like, because you get into, like, this meditation sort of state when you're running, and I found that was really, really helpful for my mental health. I found, I wasn't overthinking about anything, but I was just kind of allowing thoughts to come through, letting them pass, and they just kind of moved out of my head. And that was really nice for someone like me that gets really stuck in, thoughts or situations, or reliving things, or rethinking how I did things, or always worrying, did I do something wrong? Could I have done it better? And I felt running was a really good rest from all of that, because those thoughts would enter my mind and they just go away, because, I was just focused on continuing to move my body. So, all that to be said, you're doing this run for you. If people are lapping you, if people are running past you, if people are quicker than you, that doesn't matter. What matters is why you did the race. And if it is to win, okay, well then, yeah, okay, it kind of does matter if people are passing you. But, for the majority of us, running is for fitness, health, mental health, all of that sort of stuff. So you want to kind of remember your goal and your reason for coming into running, or any sport, to be honest, like, your reason for doing any of it. Horse riding is also a mental thing for me, as much as it is a physical thing, and a winning thing, a competitive thing. But just kind of remembering why you came into it, and why you continue to do it, and feeling that feeling of, like, this is why I did this, and, you know, I'm not gonna let somebody passing me or somebody trying to make me feel bad get in the way of that. So, that's my 2 cents on that. She got a little deep there, sorry guys. But I think it's so important, because running for a lot of people is mental health, and a lot of people run for, like, mental health awareness and stuff like that. So, I think that's very cool. So just wanted to say, yeah, if you're gonna run, those are my kind of, my advice after running my first half marathon. That's kind of what I would suggest. And yeah, that's kind of what I think if you were to run a half marathon. And if you do, that's awesome. Comment down below if you do. Or don't. It's fine to me. I don't care either way. Well, I do care. I like to hear what people are talking about. Recently, somebody commented on one of my videos and was like, hey, like, how did you set up, like, your privacy curtains? And I was like, thank you for like, I don't know. I love interacting with people, so, like, thank you for literally just asking me, and, like, you know, like, they could have just gone and searched it up on Safari, but they decided to comment on my video and ask me, and that just felt like, thank you. I don't know, like, I really just love interacting with people, and that's kind of part of the reason I started doing this, because I just, like, I think that's fun. It's like you decided to, instead of, well, especially, like, even in real life conversation, like, deciding to ask the person next to you about something rather than just going to search it up, like, I don't know, that was a really cool moment, especially as a new YouTuber. That was a really, really cool moment for me, so thank you to that person. It really meant a lot. Sorry that I kind of got onto a tangent about it, just, like, after that, but yeah, like, literally comment whatever you want on my videos. I love it. If you don't want to comment, that's also totally fine, but, like, trust and believe, I read, obviously, all of the comments. I love to respond. I love to talk to everyone. Some guy commented on my thing, and he was like, oh, zero training, like, that's so cool, like, you know, this is kind of how I've, these are kind of the runs that I've been doing, and how I keep from getting sore, and, like, you know, you should probably train for your next marathon. I was like, you know what, thanks for sharing, dude, like, I really appreciate that. And I think it's cool that there's kind of that platform to just get to, like, talk to people, and everybody just kind of gets to share and ask each other questions, and that's such a random tangent to go on, I'm not realizing, but anyway, I just, like, I really do appreciate it when people comment. I think that's really cool, and I really do love it when people are just, like, sharing stuff or asking questions or all of that. Anyway, I feel like I keep getting a little, like, emotional in this video. Or, like, very, like, grateful maybe is the word for that. But anyway, that's kind of that on the running my first half marathon, and my thoughts on commenting, I guess. But anyway, now on to the last section. I don't know what we're doing with this hand here. It's just kind of hanging around. On to the last section. Deleting TikTok. And the reason I feel like I'm, like, shrimping the more I get into the more I get into this video. Also cackling like a witch, apparently. The reason I don't post on TikTok. Touching back on deleting it. So, obviously, like I said in the last podcast, I deleted TikTok a long time ago. No, that's not true. I deleted TikTok February of this year, downloaded it maybe March, April, sometime early this year, re-downloaded it after, like, a 2-year hiatus in December, potentially because of things that happened, I don't know, don't ask me. So I re-downloaded it. I did post some stuff on there, nothing very interesting, it was just kind of me, that's kind of what I was doing. And I want to say, when I'm talking about this, I'm not talking about this pertaining to, like, my art business or, like, a personal TikTok. This is strictly going to be kind of talking about posting on TikTok for my YouTube account, posting on TikTok for my I guess, digital presence sort of sense. This is not pertaining to, like, if I were to use, like, TikTok for an art account, like, for business to earn money. I think that's absolutely a great idea. I see people do it all the time, and it's how they, you know, make their living off of doing art. Like, they became viral, and now they can actually live off of art, and making art, and I think that's really cool. I think it works for a lot of businesses. I think if you want to, post on TikTok for personal reasons, you just want to post yourself lip syncing or having fun, I think that's great. I don't think that's an issue. And I also don't think it's an issue if you're posting for your digital presence or whatever, for your YouTube channel. That's not what I'm saying. This is a personal reason for me why I'm not doing it, but I think it works for a lot of people. I think a lot of people build their following off of TikTok, or use TikTok to boost their following, and I think that is great. I just really want to drive the point home that this is, for me personally, about my digital presence, not about personal TikToks or business TikToks, and not about anybody else's TikTok. So I just want to say that before I start. Anyway, now that that is out of the way, let me get started on why I don't post on TikTok. So I think my biggest reason is currently kind of, okay, well, let me start with this. Like, YouTube kind of back in the day, was able to give people a lot of, like, solid platforms, and, you know, people like Danny Gonzalez, Curtis Connor, Drew Gooden, Jarvis Johnson, I know I'm naming just, like, commentary YouTubers like Dan TDM, LD Shadow Lady, Smallish Beans, those types of people were able to build a really stable background or following job off of this back in the day, because short form content wasn't really a thing back then. Instagram was kind of for blogging. Musical.ly and Vine, it was like people got kind of famous off of Vine. Like, a lot of those people I mentioned were Viners. And they kind of used that and brought it over to YouTube, but I wouldn't say it's, like, the main reason they got famous. And I think now, with the rise in short-form content, we're seeing a lot of people experience the 3 seconds of fame. You know, and it's kind of true and untrue in a sense. Like, you could say Charli D'Amelio experienced the 3 seconds of fame, but she's technically, like, I still see her in Kate Spade ads. She has, like, a show. You know, she's still making money. She's just kind of lesser to an extent of that. But I mean, you see people experience, like, 3 seconds of fame, like, I'm trying to think of a good person. I feel like this is kind of the thing that makes it hard, is because, you know, you see those people and then they disappear. Okay. I cannot think of anyone right now. But, like, I think that this is kind of the point, is, like, you see these people for, like, a little bit, and they drop off the face of the earth. And then, obviously, you have your few people, Charli D'Amelio, Brittany Broski, that do have a short-form content that just, they become super famous, and then they ride that wave, and then stay super famous. And I think the farther we get into short-form content, the less that is happening. Because it's so common for people to go viral now. Like, you know, one TikTok can get, like, 1 million, 2 million views, and then that person will disappear off the face of the earth, even though they tried to kind of ride that wave. And that's kind of where I don't want that to happen. Would it be cool to go viral? Honestly, maybe. I'm not even sure if I think that would be fun. But I don't want this to be a thing of, like, oh, like Hawk Tuah girl. She rode the wave for a little bit and then dropped off the face of the earth. That's actually a decently good representation of what I'm talking about. Like, you know, she had, like, a podcast, and I'm sure she's still making some money, but definitely not as much as she was making then. And that's kind of where there's, like, a little bit of disconnect for me of posting on TikTok, because while you could make a ton of money becoming viral at one point, you don't know if that's gonna stick and if that's gonna stay stable. And I think, you know, no matter what, going viral will help your cause, of course. But however, I personally think I would want a stronger base first. Like, not a fan, like a follower base. I hate to say a fan base because that feels strange. But I'd like to have a stronger base of people that follow me, I think, before, if I, like, ever went viral for something. And, you know, I feel like that's maybe kind of a strange take to have. I don't think it's anything anyone actively is, like, thinking about, sort of thing. But it has crossed my mind before, because I think this kind of leads into my second point. I don't really think I'd care for going super insanely viral. If it happens, it happens. That's great. I would be super grateful for it. Obviously, that would be amazing. But having a smaller community is fun. I think whatever... Oh, yeah. I think... like, if I wanted to make this a job, it's more important to build a stronger, consistent base for people to watch you. And, like, if you go viral and then you bring more people in, that's great, but you're not losing anything once you lose those people, because you still have that consistent base. And that's kind of where I'm coming from with this, I think, is thinking of it as a job. Obviously, I don't earn any money from this at all yet, and I hope to at some point. However, I think that's where that feeling of, like, I don't really know if I'd want to go viral with short form content on, like, TikTok, because there's that chance that it becomes, like, $1 million in 1 month, and then back to $0, like, the next month. Obviously, it's not that quick. However, I think that's where I'm like, if this is going to be a real thing for me, where I earn money, make it a job or something like that, I would want to have a strong base of people. And it, again, kind of a weird take, a random take to have, but I think it's something interesting to think about, and something personally for me of, like, why I don't post on TikTok and why I don't post on Instagram or anything like that. And, like, whatever happens, you know, if I do end up going super viral, if I stay with a very small community, if I continue to do this for fun and never make any money from it, I think whatever happens, I am in such a lucky position to be able to get to do this, to be able to do what I do, to post content, to have time to post content and work for myself, while I get to pursue art and school and horse riding and running. I am in a very lucky position to get to do all of that. And this, you know, I get to have the time to work on this stuff because of, you know, how fortunate I am in this life. And I think, you know, that makes me even more grateful, even if I just have a small community, even more grateful if I do get to go viral. I think no matter what, I'm lucky to get to do this. That's kind of what I'm trying to say there. I hope that made some semblance of sense of, like, you know, like, there's a way that all ties together, and I hope I made that make some sort of sense. I may not have. There's always a good chance I didn't. But yeah, I think that's kind of why I don't post on TikTok. I mean, also trying to plan my time out. I'd much rather be consistent with long form content than short form content. So I feel like spending my time making TikTok videos or Instagram reels isn't my favorite way to spend my time for this sort of stuff. So that's kind of also where that comes from. But yeah, I don't know. I hope that made some sort of sense. Again, for the third time, really weird take to have and very, very, like, random. But I thought it was just something I'd touch on. I don't know if anybody else if anybody else is maybe a new YouTuber or whatever, like, or even if you're not and you just kind of have an opinion on that, like, let me know kind of what you think, if you kind of understand what I'm saying. And yeah, I think that made sense. And again, not talking about anyone else but myself and my digital presence. But yeah, either way, I'm super lucky, super fortunate to be able to do what I do. And I'm very grateful for that. Anyway, my throat's getting dry. So that's signaling the end of this podcast episode. Hopefully this will be up at some point very soon. If it's not, I do apologize. I hope you have enjoyed my ramblings, as I usually do. I'm hoping to get my next pod out next week, of course. And we'll kind of see. I'm not really sure what I'm going to talk about next, but it might be Olivia Rodrigo's new album, or I guess it's not so new anymore, but I've been listening to it a lot, and I think it's very good, and I might touch on it a little bit. Trying to think if there's anything else I'm going to talk about. Maybe pursuing art. Those are some things I have in my head right now. 2 things. Maybe I'll talk about my love for fall. Or 2020. Not my love for 2020. Let's, hold on. Or I'll talk about, like, the remnants of 2020 a little bit. I feel like that's a fun kind of thing to talk about. Anyway. Hope you enjoyed this podcast episode. I feel like I've gotten more comfortable in front of the camera, which has been very nice and very exciting. I hope this was fun. If it was on in the background, if you were listening to it very intently, if you were talking to me, pretending it was a FaceTime episode, I hope you enjoyed it no matter what. I hope you have a good morning, day, evening, afternoon, midnight, 2 a.m., 3 a.m., 1 a.m., witching hour, or 2 in the afternoon. I hope you have a good day. And I hope you do something that you love. Yeah, go do something you love. Go do something that makes you happy. That's my outro for today. Have a good one. I will see you guys next time. I will see you guys next time. Goodbye!